All right. So check really quickly how we're sounding, and then we can get started.
You got it, dude. Let's see what we
Um,
got. Well, feel free to chime in too, so I can hear what you're
yeah,
saying.
go ahead, man.
And we're live. We are in the world of weebs and anime and video games and manga and entertainment and movies and critics and reviews and people that don't finish games. Do you hear me? Can you hear me well there?
Absolutely, you're crisp and golden.
And same for me.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get started. Um, okay, let's. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. God, this is, man. Wait a second.
Nice early pre-show.
Yeah. Let me just really quickly check this out. Man, okay. All right, we're good. All right, guys. Yeah, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right.
This is number
11. Just really quickly, you guys aren't hearing like an echo from me or anything like that?
No, I'm not. But let me check the stream real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, not on my end, but I'll check. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, check the stream really quick.
You're good.
Yeah, you for sure? I'm good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
Perfect.
Guys, welcome back to the 11th episode of the DualShock Sense Podcast. I am your host, the connoisseur of anime waifus. With me, as always, we got ourselves a great panel. As always, we got Macho. How you doing, man? What's up?
What's going on, everybody? It's a wonderful Friday. It's the King of Kingdom Hearts, the Final Fantasy fanatic. Get ready for that Intergrade, baby. Let's go. Let's get it.
Baby. We got Walt. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Hola, saludos, mi amigos. ¿Cómo estamos? We chilling, bro. We playing some Village. Just played some Village last night. Started that. I'm excited to talk a bit about that. Non-spoilery, of course, but we chilling. Yeah, that wife of yours, she giving me some trouble.
Oh man, we'll get into that,
Yeah.
man. Have you been running away or what's up?
I, I did get caught. I mean, what we saw in the teaser and whatnot. You get
What?
caught. She drinks your blood.
Wait, but was
After
that on accident or what?
I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny whether it was an accident or not. All I know is they asked for man blood, and I just happened to be a man, and I was like, well, might as well help,
Yeah, go ahead, take it. Take everything you need.
Yeah, man.
I think
And
everybody's going into this like wanting to get caught. Just a little bit. It's a little bit of what's it called? What's it called? Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah.
I saw this video on YouTube of this guy. He was like in his apartment or something, and he's just like whistling, just like walking through his house, and then he turns his camera and it's just like Lady Dimitrescu like in his apartment, and he starts like like fake screaming. He's like and then he like runs over to his door and he turns the lock so the door is locked. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much
This weekend's gonna be great.
yeah. I'm like, that's pretty much all these horny these horny dudes, man.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's fun. It's fun.
yeah,
I'm having a good time.
we'll get into that. So yeah, man, we got ourselves a good show lined up for you guys. As always, go ahead and drop us a like. That will greatly help us, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel, man. We come out every week with some good content for y'all, and we ain't stopping anytime soon. So let's get into some of these topics, man. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about some of the games that we've been playing, because finally, there's some stuff coming out now. The year is finally like shaping up and taking form. So Walt, why don't you start, man? What's been going on with you? What have you been playing?
Well, just last night, I decided to just do it and got it digitally and started playing Resident Evil 8 Village. And I'm not too far in. I decided to play it on hardcore, which right now is the highest difficulty. I think there's a fourth difficulty that you unlock when you beat the game, which is called like Village of Shadows. I'm definitely playing that. I'm aiming to platinum this game just like I did 7. I'm having a blast. It is both exciting with its set pieces and action and all that, and it is also horrifying when it wants to be. So I'm having a blast there. Not gonna talk too much because so far what I've seen is what the most people have seen through trailers and whatnot, and whatever people have not seen is in spoiler territory. So when I form more of an opinion there, I'll tell y'all next week. Besides that one though, on Snap, that's a Nintendo exclusive, of course, because it's Pokemon. But I downloaded that, and that's just chill as hell, man. That's a laid back, just turn off your mind and have a good time, relax, and amidst the chaotic setting of moving, because moving is in progress right now here in my house. But besides that, just Pokemon Snap, Resident Evil since last night. I'll probably play more after this podcast, and not really much. I have to store away everything because I won't be able to play it for like a whole month because everything will be on its way to the new house. But yeah, does Clash Royale count on the phone? I guess. Haven't been playing much besides those two though.
Nice, nice. Yeah, so I guess really quick. Well, actually, really quickly, Macho, have you gotten any time into RE8?
No, not at all. Not at
Oh,
all. I just finished picking it up from Best Buy.
okay. Interesting, because so yeah, like we were in the DMs talking, and you guys asked me, yo, like, are you picking up RE8? And so
True.
here's my thing. Like, I watched Skill Up. Have you guys heard of him? His YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
of them. I don't watch it much, but I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I even though there's like obviously with every reviewer, I have my, games that I will like disagree with him on and whatnot, but his Resident Evil 8 review kind of like turned me off from the game. Um
Okay.
like so he was talking about how just like the story and the characters themselves aren't like really like anything too noteworthy aside from obviously Dimitrescu. Everyone else is just kind of like bland, and then especially Ethan, who was like a lot of people's biggest gripe with Resident Evil 7. He was just like in RE8, like they try to get him more involved, but like his personality is that of like a wet blanket. Like he's just so boring in RE8, which was kind of disappointing to hear. And then just like in terms of like it being like a survival horror, it just pales in comparison to what they did with RE7. He was saying that it's more action oriented than 7. Like there is a balance, but like that horror isn't just it isn't as like bone like unsettling and chilling as it was in RE7 with the Baker family, which was again pretty disappointing for someone who actually does, um even though I'm terrified of like survival horror, like it's still something that I respect and I like. Um, so I don't know, like all and then just like watching clips of like the combat itself in RE8, like RE games are sort of like they're like headshots are so important in those games, and so I was watching the combat here in RE8, and the enemies, they move around like so fast, and they're just like I don't know. They're just way more mobile than they are in, say, RE2 or RE3, where they're, like slowly walking towards you and whatnot. So it makes virtually headshots like impossible, is what he was saying, and that's definitely like what the gameplay videos were like, showing to me at least. So like you're really just like wasting bullets on these guys' like chests the whole time, and that's sort of like where the more action oriented like kind of complaint that I have like stems from. So yeah, I don't know. Like I was watching all of this and just the comment in general looking like uninteresting to me. So all of that combined, I was just like, man, like I don't know. Like I could see why reviewers are kind of like, yeah, it's a good game, but like it's not like great. Is sort of the sentiment I was getting from like a lot of reviewers. So like all of that stuff just kind of like turned me off from the game. And I don't know, have you guys been seeing any of that? Like, have you guys gotten a chance to see some of the reviews? Have you guys been seeing a lot of stuff that I've been seeing, or am I just kind of like bugging out a little bit?
No, for me personally is it's for me whenever I know like I'm gonna get into a game and I know I'm just gonna personally love it, I just stay away from any kind of reviews or trailers. Like I'll see like little previews of like what people are like little like 1 or 2 sentence snippets of like what they're saying and what they thought of the game. But other than that, I'll just kind of leave it be. But I really just came to like the idea. And I tweeted it out yesterday where everybody has something different they want out of Resident Evil, and they'll take it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like horror games in general, any, like the horror genre, where people are sometimes looking for a specific thing, and if they don't get it, then they're not satisfied. And if they do get it, then they'll love it. That runs anything from like Final Destination movies to the Saw stuff to Conjuring, and so I see Resident Evil as the same thing,
Yeah.
where it's like one of the most prominent horror games. So a lot of people are going to be expecting different things out of it, and it depends on what you really want. For me personally, I know that I love the scares, so that's what I love about Resident Evil 7. And to see this game, at least from what I see from previews and some trailers, it has that horror essence, but it also has that action gameplay that I really liked from Resident Evil 5, which was what I started with the series. So for me, it's like a perfect blend of the two.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, I told Macho how I have only seen a video of one review, but I have heard and read tweets about different kinds of reviews and opinions and first, Resident Evil is a huge, widely recognized franchise series. So you're gonna get both sides of the spectrum way more. People that hate it, people that love it, people that feel meh about it. In my case, I completely agree with that idea of the perfect blend. Again, I'm not incredibly far into the game, but what I have played, it gives me that sense of action and horror, more or less of how if you combine Resident Evil 4 and 7, I compare it to that, to where, and to the other point that Macho said, how I personally will love this game. I haven't hated a Resident Evil game as much as people crap on Resident Evil 6 and a little bit of 5. I actually enjoyed those games, and it's because I focus on the strengths of those games. When you focus on the story of 6, you're going to be disappointed because it's just all over the place. But when you see the gameplay, the types of enemies, the set pieces, it does feel like a Michael Bay game in that sense. But I have a blast with it. I have fun. With this one, I really enjoy the blend of the two. The fact that you have to really, be aggro with the enemies themselves, because at least I've only encountered the Lycans, right? The werewolf species, whatever. And I see that the game, at least for me, it encourages you to parry or just block, and essentially if you echa para allá, perro, echa para allá, Dios mío, Jesus, the dog, stop it.
It's a pet seal. He's back.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so essentially, you can block. If you block just in time, you do like a little push or like a kick to the enemy, and it'll not automatically, but it'll somewhat track towards the top of the enemy and allow you to position yourself for a headshot. And I feel like this game encourages you to play in that faster paced combat. You know what I mean? Contrary to what 7 did with the slower paced, around the corners, the house. It's just one location.
That was so like to that exact point right there is that like I guess that's sort of more slower methodical combat, sort of like every shot is deliberate, you know what I mean? Like yeah, just like deliberate, and I guess that sort of more like speaks to me in at least in an RE game than sort of the RE style of games where you're just like unloading bullets into these guys' chests, you know?
Oh, for sure. And the thing is, man, I there's certain okay, there's certain tropes that this game has. I'm not gonna go into spoiler territory, but a more or less, So you have Ethan. People wet blanket. You made that comparison. How people just find him so boring and whatever. I maybe I just have trash taste, but god damn, I enjoy the fact that I am playing as essentially just a nobody or just a common man that is like going against these greater than life entities in a way, because you have literal werewolves, you have vampires, you have these monstrosities. We didn't get to see like otherworldly creatures until like what? Until like 2, when Claire like fights Nemesis. That's more or less an otherworldly creature, and even then, you're playing as like an advanced or like a special operative, whatever. What part of what organization is she from? Whatever. In this case, you're just playing as just a common folk person, just someone that's a nobody. He just has a certain mission. He rises up to the challenge. You notice that he's improved from 7. In 7, there was this observation where the gun would sway a lot when you aimed and when you ran, and he was like all over the place. In this one, it feels like he actually trained, like he actually like honed his skills a little bit, which makes sense, I guess. He wanted to be prepared in case this happened again.
That's
but
cool.
honestly,
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting to see how he didn't grow much, because he did stay a little bit in the past. But in terms of combat and in terms of tropes, I really like the idea of, whether that be a TV show, an anime, a movie, or a video game, that they do this whole, you have these, let's say, 5 main bad guys, and you have to visit these 5 main places, and they all rule over this.
That's pretty cool.
I love that trope. I love that premise. And to not get into spoiler, but that's something that this game does. I'll quote, I think it was Greg Miller or Brittany, and Kind of Funny, that they said, biomes, different biomes. And essentially that's what it is. You visit, for instance, the castle. That's Lady Dimitris's biome. That's her territory. So you have to go against her, and then you have others. And that I really like that. I like the whole. It does feel like like a Final Destination kind of thing, where it's a bit campy at times, a bit cheesy. Some one-liners that are kind of very Resident Evil, Jill Sandwich, whatever. Not to that extent of horribleness, but it does feel like that B horror movie at times. But I'm here for it, man. I'm having a blast. Honestly, 7, I didn't see any reviews, and I got obsessed, and then I heard that people were bashing it with its one location, only one type of enemy, just the molded, you didn't have a variety. Where in this one, you do have a lot of variety, but then you have to sacrifice a bit of that horror, intense, intimate gameplay for a more, blend of action and horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to consider like all these different things because I'm actually reviewing it for lordsofgaming.net.
Ooh.
And so it's outbrained like my overall fanboyness for like these awesome games, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna put on the critic mind and definitely look at all these different things, because all that stuff is important. And when it comes to reviewing games, the questions I love to not love, like I try to answer is it worth your time, is it worth your money, and I have to look at all that. So,
Yeah,
but
no, of course.
regardless, I'm
And I mean,
excited to play
that,
it. So,
yeah, yeah. And here's the thing: when you're reviewing a game, you do have to go with that quote unquote objective mindset. No review is objective. I'll say that right now. Hot take, whatever it is. Absolutely no review is objective. It is one person. It is one opinion. They are trying their best to be objective. That's impossible. It's impossible. You give that same game to someone else in that company, it's going to be something completely different, which is why sometimes I struggle with watching reviews from big companies like IGN or GameSpot, because it's different people. You have to be aware of who's reviewing it, and it's so hard to, not be biased. In my case,
that's why like with my, sorry to interrupt you, but that's why with my taste,
sure.
I know like what my taste and what I like. So when I go to other people for reviews, I'm looking more to see how the game runs, the whole pacing of it, and like mechanical stuff, basically.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And to finish, my point of how, this game essentially go with your own mindset, and regardless of how people are painting it, in a negative light or whatever, honestly, first of all, it's your money, determine if you want to invest the amount of money that's worth, full price or not. But honestly, try it and see if there's more redeeming qualities than not, and go for it. If I always compare how, if there's a game that got horrible reviews, but I also got obsessed with it, was Dead Island, back when it came out on the PS3. And oh my god, I had a blast with that game. I don't know what that says about my taste, but I had a blast. And if I follow reviews, it was mostly 4s and 3s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Honestly,
and that goes back to the thing about reviews being subjective in the end. So I mean, you use reviews to sort of like use it as like a rough guideline, but at the end, you're still forming your own opinion.
Exactly. And reason why I avoid sometimes reviews in general and scores, and I'm not a big fan of rating, 1 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It's because it's an oversimplification of a medium that is more often than not, in many cases, very nuanced. As much as we have, a replication of so many games, as much as we have the same formula of a certain game, whether that be COD or whether that be Division 1, Division 2, not many nuances in between, you can still. I'm not too optimistic, but I try to be when it comes to what I digest in terms of entertainment. But yeah, for sure. I did hear about those reviews and those perspectives before I bought it, and honestly, at this point, I don't. It's not that I don't care, but I very much know when I'm gonna like a game. I know my taste,
and
well
it's a
enough,
series, and it's a series that you're familiar with. So yeah, it definitely
exactly.
it definitely makes sense why. Yeah.
And let's say the story was complete garbage. Let's say the game was complete garbage. Just the idea of seeing Chris Redfield in modern technology, I'm good with that. Like just seeing like such a legendary character, in a game of 2021. That would be enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, I enjoyed the game. Like I'm that dude. There's already so many stressors out there in the environment. Why am I gonna overcomplicate myself over a game?
Yeah,
If I were gonna
to
review a
me,
game,
it didn't kill my hype at all for the game.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
and
definitely. That's fair. That's fair. I was just,
Yeah.
like I don't know, because in a way, I feel like I'm always giving myself a reason not to play it because, like, hey, like I just spent $70 on Returnal, so like,
Yeah,
getting
true.
something immediately after that, I'm kind of like, okay, like let me actually wait. So like that might be playing into this a little
Yeah.
bit, but yeah, I don't know, just watching sort of like, it's not that the game like is a bad game, but just like it kind of
Oh
just
yeah.
like. It wasn't like it didn't meet my expectations in terms of like, okay, I was expecting Village out of everything that I saw, all the pre-hype stuff. I was expecting this game to like
Right.
blow my expectations out of the water, and to see that sort of like the consensus is just kind of like, yeah, it's good. That's sort of like the vibe that I'm getting, but at the same
Right.
time, I still want to like hear like the people that I trust, like you guys and my friends and whatnot, their opinion and how they feel about the game. So that's obviously going to play a big factor into me getting the game. But yeah, that's just
Man, Soul's gonna see a screenshot of Lady D, and he's
hey
just gonna be
man.
like, "Oh, I'm driving, I'm going,
Hey
I'm running,
man,
I'm getting."
that's she's the reason why I'm a little skeptical of my decision right now. Yeah, I've been seeing some footage of her, man. That I'm kind of like, oh man, what am I doing? What's going on, man?
Wait, it's a connoisseur of anime wife who's backing down. What's going on?
I know, man. God damn. Those
Gotta
hey
go
man,
for
those
it.
those
Go big or go
those
home.
those Twitter removing the cropped images came at the right time, man. Just gotta say that. Macho, what's been going on with you, man? What have you been playing?
Yeah, I finished up Gravity Rush 2.
Hey, yeah, come on, man. Let's get into this. What's going on with this Gravity Rush 2 slander, man?
Oh,
What's going
man.
on? What's
Man,
going on?
Wait, hold on. You smell that?
Oh no. Oh no.
You smell that? Because I got smoke for this game.
Oh man.
Yo, what is with that last third of the game?
Oh man.
What you
Oh,
mean?
man.
Like, because I'm not gonna. Should I spoil it? It's been like what, 4
Bro,
years?
it's been years, and people don't care anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, so after the end credits, and then you're trying to find the shining girl, then you're basically kind of like warped into this Inception like image of where you're like now like there's the queen, Queen Alua, right? Who was once Cat. We're trying to restore her memories. Why does that sequence take forever?
Hey,
Why?
you know what? Wait a second.
Took too long for you?
Wait a second. Wait. Hey, Walt. We're gonna do this really quick. we're gonna fart on that opinion right there, on that slander. We're gonna take a page out of
Do it.
Press Start podcast. We're gonna fart on that opinion right there.
Dude, my
Yeah,
man,
bust out the clown shoes, man. No, go ahead.
I was napping. No, bust out the
were napping?
snoring noise. Get the snoring noise in there, bro. I was napping. I was just straight up chilling. I had 3 pillows under my head. I had a blanket over me. I was snoring out, bro.
Man.
But I will give it credit though. After I got passed through all that, and you finally found Raven, and then you had the whole anime battle.
Yeah.
It was dope.
Yeah.
It was dope. Overall, I really, really liked Gravity Rush 2. I would say that the side missions, like in the later half, started to drag a little bit. It felt a little too grindy. But overall, just like the game itself and the story, I kind of love / didn't like how it wasn't all like, it didn't feel like one cohesive story. It felt like 3 separate stories.
Yeah.
But it kind of like alluded to like the whole comic book like vibe of the game anyway, and like the superhero-ness of it all. But Kat, man, she needs a third game. She needs a third game.
For sure. Give both Cat and Raven a game. I know she has her own like separate little mission. Man, you know, I'm all about that Raven and Cat game.
Soul is not about a Gravity Rush 3? What?
No,
I don't think it's Soul. I think it's the company.
No.
Sony just said nah.
I feel like, man, I feel like Gravity Rush 2 ended off in like a beautiful place. It's the same opinion I have about Sly 3. Like that whole trilogy ended off in such a perfect, like, pretty little bow. Like, everything was tied up so neatly, and then they had to fuck it up with Thieves in Time. And like, I'm not saying the same thing would happen with a Gravity Rush 3, but there's just some things that you just have to like leave alone. Like, it's perfect, it's you don't always have to like keep continuing these things. Like, sometimes it's good to just let things end sometimes. And Gravity Rush 2 felt like a good ending for that franchise.
And question for Macho: did you delve more into the mining area where you find the big secret bosses?
Nope.
No, bro.
Nope.
If you want like a legit challenge in that game, like with actual like real enemies, go to that mining area and look for the secret like big bosses. Holy crap, they can get ridiculous. The back of your head gonna get ridiculous when they shoot them rocks at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's I'm gonna do the same thing with Control, where like I had my fill of it, and so I'll go back to it when I have like the urge to play it again.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
at
it was
least you got
overall
the
it was really
story.
good.
You
Yeah,
understood the story
overall,
this time.
yeah, I actually understood the story this time. It was actually
Gotcha.
cohesive. It was very interesting. I like that whole background with Kat and kind of like how that she was able to kind of piece together, but I'll also give a nice little fart on those damn puzzles.
Oh man,
The last see
is that what
I
we're
was down
doing?
for like the first three, the last three or four, or the first three and four were actually really good. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And the last one, were because Cat likes to slip off edges like it's made of syrup, was just not fun, and I was just not about it. But yeah, I mean, overall, like it was just a really like unique experience. I really liked it, but I mean, other than Gravity Rush 2,
Wait, really quick for
that's
the
about it.
pertaining to that. To be fair,
Yeah.
it's been years since I played that section. So like, but like what I do remember from it, like yeah, I do feel like that stuff, especially when you're in like her little kingdom and walking around. Yeah, I now that I do remember it, like yeah, I do recall that it was pretty long stretches of you just kind of walking around, not doing much. Um, but the reason why, and you kind of like alluded to this too, that like the reason why that section still, sort of resonates with me is just like the revelations that happen within that period. The sort of these secrets that we've been wanting to know since the first game. We finally get to learn or have those secrets kind of like discovered in this section. And I don't know. That's why that secret chapter Ito always stood out to me for that reason. Um,
That makes
but
sense. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
for sure.
Now, speaking of games that we've been playing, so you've been going at it with a certain game lately, huh?
Yeah. Wait, really quick. Was that it for you, Macho?
Well, yeah, that's about it. It's been a crazy week, so I haven't gotten a lot of gaming time. And so,
Okay.
yeah, it was just Gravity Rush 2. That's it.
Cool, cool. So yeah, I've been playing Returnal. I've been really sinking my teeth into Returnal, man. Um, so I thought it would be interesting if I kind of open this up to the panel. Like, do you guys have any questions about Returnal? Anything that you guys are interested about knowing? Um, yeah, like feel free
Honest,
to ask. I feel
hon-
like that would
hon-
be more interesting than me just rambling on about it for like 5 minutes or
honestly,
whatever.
man, as long as you don't spoil any story stuff, which I know you won't, or just in that regard, I don't have any questions. Is that one I want to find on my own? The only major questions were just how truly difficult this game is, and I've seen from your tweets that it's no easy feat beating these bosses, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of the difficulty of this game is like it's like in people's heads. Like it's a barricade that people have put up themselves. This idea of, and I feel like that's primarily because of the idea of starting over and starting back from the beginning. I feel like that's the main crux of everybody's sort of like why people are kind of like avoiding Returnal or at least coming into it a
Yeah.
little bit scared because of that reason. But I feel like once you get over that hurdle, once all the mechanics of the game clicks with you, once you actually, understand, all of the game's moving parts, and you approach it with patience, then the difficulty isn't like this unbearable Herculean task that I feel like it's sort of made out to be from a lot of reviewers. Like I've seen like a lot of reviewers, and this is no slander towards them or anything like that, but like saying how they weren't able to finish the game, how they couldn't finish the game, because the game is so challenging and difficult and whatnot. Um,
Right.
and yeah, so in the beginning,
So
like
do you
like
think?
go ahead.
Sorry. So, do you think it's a matter of just not being able to persevere over adversity and just giving up like in their third try and not like
Here,
giving it the
here's the
practice it
thing.
deserves?
Here's the thing. I think why that probably happened to them or just people in general is because
Yeah.
it's probably so demoralizing to actually die and have to start back from the beginning. That I guess my
I was actually going to ask you if it was like one of the factors could have been that these people were timed and had an embargo date,
sure.
and so were
Yeah.
pressured
Sure. Like
to like
I if
perform better.
like okay, so transparency, I have full transparency. I've died maybe 6 times, I want to say, but that was mainly from the first biome of, me still figuring things out and encountering that first boss and dying twice to him alone. But after that, like, so I finished the first biome, and I was so excited that I turned off my PS5 before I even got to the second biome. So, that started me all the way back from, all the way to the beginning. But then after that, I essentially did I ran through biome 1, 2, and 3 all in one run, and I think the major problem is that, yeah, if you get yourself a good build, like a really good build, and you're playing for like 3 hours straight and then you die, that's so crushingly painful, man, to have to lose. Like, essentially, that session is worthless, right? Because you lost all that time, you have no progress to show for it, and you have to start all the way back from the beginning. Like, yeah, I could understand why people would drop the game or would say that, yeah, this game is too hard for me or it's too difficult. Like, yeah, I'm putting it down. So
So
yeah,
it seems like it's not too hard; it's too long.
sure. Yeah. And I guess, but at the same time, like, I feel like the difficulty, like Matt Corbin just says, the Returnal kicks my butt. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's sort of dependent on you. Like, it's totally up to you how quickly you run through these biomes. Like, for me, um my thing is that I'm going through each and every single room trying to pick them clean to make sure, like, I could get my health bar as big as I possibly can get it. I'm trying to get as many consumables, as many oblites and ethers as I possibly can in order to sort of stock myself up with items and whatnot, to better prepare me for the biomes that I'm about to enter. So, like, if you're doing that on a consistent basis and killing everything in sight, then yeah, that's naturally going to take you longer. But there are, I've seen people blazing through these biomes, and there's people who are finishing this game in under like 15, 12 hours. And I just hit hour 15 and I'm on biome 4 right now. So, like, it definitely, like, these biomes don't necessarily have to take you 3 hours per biome. It's really just how you approach them. And, like, yeah, I think that's also a big factor into the game as well.
Now, do
Okay.
you seeing it from how people have been criticizing the fact that it has no safe feature
Yeah.
mid game and whatnot? Do you think that's been a huge hindrance in your playthrough?
Yeah, that's definitely, like I said, I had to essentially, on Monday, that thank God. Like, I don't know how people, and to Macho's point, to reviewers as well, I don't know how people with, like, a family or, like, heaven forbid, a child who, God, no, I don't ever want that. But, like, for, like, if you were to have a baby playing, I don't know how you could play this game, because this game is like a commitment in a way. Like for me especially, like, I had to dedicate my entire Monday to Returnal, which was, I had to essentially go from biome 1 and run through biome 1, 2, and 3 all in a single run. And that took my entire Monday. Obviously, I was, suspending the application so I could like watch TV or just like take breaks on the side. But yeah, like
Right.
a save and quit feature definitely could have helped that. It definitely could have alleviated the stress because, not only, the problems with the rest mode, which I've never had, but, those have been reported. And then the crashing, and then also that Monday, like I live in Florida, and it's hurricane season, so it's been raining like all this week as well. So like, and so my power going out was was a huge concern of mine. So I was like, oh god, man, I have to finish this, I have to finish this biome, man. So like, it definitely made that boss fight in the third biome like a lot more intense, man. So yeah, like a save and quit feature definitely would have been welcome for that point exactly.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's that's what I was really scared of to begin with because as you guys know, like I'm pretty on and off when it comes to like my gaming binges, and I take them few and far in between. So picking up Returnal last week would have absolutely like I wouldn't have been able to play it as
Yeah,
much
you could not
regarding
have
like
done that.
everything
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah, it's absolutely like a no-go. It's like more of like it seems like more of like a spring break or Christmas vacation kind of game where you pick it up during or like right at the beginning of that vacation and you just start playing and like going in on it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure. That's again, like this would have been the perfect game, like for God, like 15-year-old Justin when it was summer break and I was just at the house doing nothing for 2 months. Like it definitely feels like
Yeah.
that's the kind of game. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It's all dependent on how quickly you can actually, run through these biomes. If you're someone like BG, you can blaze through these things like on a fairly, quick pace. But for me, it's sort of the same way that I approach like Souls games, where I'm just like I'm really sort of like God, what's the diligent? I guess is the word, like diligent and just slow and patient with how I move through these kinds of games, and that's why people can finish like Souls games in like I feel like under 30 hours, but for me it takes twice as long. Not necessarily that I'm dying too much, but just because like I really approach these games like really really slowly.
Okay.
Now, in regards to the state of Returnal, does it feel like a finished game? Is it buggy at all? How? Because I've
Yeah,
seen
that's
some.
that's what I was gonna ask too. Like, do you
Yeah,
think do you not now that is it worth it? I'm not phrasing this objectively, more of what you think. Do you think it's worth
yeah.
$70 for what
Man,
you see and
see,
what you're
this is
playing?
this is
And do
why.
you feel? And do you feel like Housemark has done a great job with how they're tackling, their latest updates and whatnot?
See, this is why I really wanted Gene in this podcast because he had a comment on Twitter that just kind of like I did like a double take like spit out my water. I was like, whoa, really, my
Whoa,
guy.
whoa, whoa!
Um
Scratch.
yeah,
We'll
so
have
like
G on the podcast soon, but yeah,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
But
and we can ask him then again because we can get those hot takes.
yeah, so like
absolutely.
Matt Corbin says that he's encountered no bugs and the game crashed on him once, and that's pretty much that. Like I echo that statement that I've had, aside from like maybe a few pop-ins instances of pop-in. I've it's
Right.
pretty much been like a flawless experience. Like I know I've said that I have this fear of the game crashing, but surprisingly that has not happened in my 15-hour playthrough so far. Again,
Nice.
I've only played it for what, like 15 hours and like 3 days. So I've only touched the game like 3 times. So maybe that's it. Obviously, if I played it longer, maybe I would have had a crash, but I haven't had any sort of like major technical issues aside from like maybe a few pop in. People have also said like audio issues, like audio not coming in. I haven't had that either. So like purely based off of that, like the game feels finished to me. And obviously I haven't played the game since Monday, so I like the patch that came in that apparently broke the game even more for people. Like I didn't play the game when that patch was out. So like again, maybe my experience would have been different with that patch, but again, I haven't played the game with that patch. In terms of the game being, to Masha's question about feeling What was your question exactly about whether or not do I personally feel like it's worth the asking price, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guys. This I'm having like I'm having such a blast with this game. This game is like I know sort of like I feel like the sort of technical issues that people are having with Returnal is overshadowing the conversation a bit, and that sucks. But like this game is
Right.
fucking awesome, dude. Like top to bottom, the combat, like the star of the show is the gameplay, is that combat. Just how good it feels. Like you could say what you want about about Housemarque, but you cannot deny that they make games that feel so good to play. First and
Yeah.
foremost.
Video game as video games. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so there's that, and just the boss fights, man. Like, so like the first boss fight was like, all right. Yeah, it was like a good introduction to these bosses,
Right. Right.
but then it's just gotten like progressively more and more insane. The third boss fight specifically, I don't know why, dude. I always, no matter what game I'm playing, I always have this habit of like recording them on my PS5 just so I can like it's just something for me that I can look at afterwards. I always do this, but for whatever reason I didn't do that for the third boss fight in Returnal. But the third boss fight
Dang.
in this game is like what it might be hyperbolic, but like this is just like that honeymoon phase, I guess. But it's just like one of the best boss fights I've ever had in a long time. And like I just finished Dark Souls 3 this week. I just beat Nameless King and Soul of Cinder, and this Nemesis fight like to me like kind of topped it just in terms like the atmosphere, the music, the sort of scale of the boss fight, everything that was coming at you. Um it's the multiple phases. Like the last phase of that boss fight, the platform that you're standing on collapses, and so you're just kind of like floating in the air, and there's all these levitating platforms in the air, and you have to use your grappling hook to like bounce between all these different platforms while the boss is in the background like firing projectiles at you. So like you're literally on the move 24/7 trying to fight this boss at the same time, and it's just the coolest thing ever, man. If you guys can watch it on YouTube, I highly recommend it. But it was just so
Amazing.
fun being in that moment. And again, so like even more background to that fight was that like so I kind of put myself in the corner because I ran through biomes 1 through 3 all in a single run. So like I had my health bar was like at 200%, like the max that you could possibly get it. But when biome 3 is like it's a pain in the ass, man. That biome is really hard. But once I got to that boss fight, like because of the difficulty of that biome, I had depleted my health bar to like 60%. So like I was coming into that boss fight like fully my mind being like, oh, I'm dying. Like there's no way I can actually beat him. And then I also had like two malfunctions on my suit that made my weapon damage like minus 50%. I had a parasite that lowered the proficiency of my health kits as well. So like I was at such a big disadvantage into that boss fight. So that made it even more tense. But like I had to get those parasites and those malfunctions because like I was so low on health. So I was like um I was rolling the dice. So like okay, like you have a chance at getting, you know, plus 25% health, but this also has a high chance of damaging you if you actually pick up this item. So I was just like, okay, I have to do it. There's no health in sight, so I might as well do it. And then I pick it up, and then it comes with a debuff as well. So yeah, so I came into that boss fight with all this stuff happening to my character, and that made it even more intense, and it made it even more, that plays into why that boss fight stuck out to me so much, because all of this stuff all at once just creating this really tense sort of, you know, like palm sweating experience that really shot it up for me in terms of just boss fights recently.
I need you to talk that talk for me, man. What's up with that dual sense? How's it going?
Yeah,
How you liking that dual sense?
it's God, I I feel like people are like, I don't know. This might be just because like I haven't played it in a while, but like I feel like it's been really subtle. Like it hasn't been too intrusive, which I guess is a good thing within itself. Like the whole rain thing. The thing about that is that like it's not like playing 24/7. Like it's just like a little bit. So like when you step out into the rain, it will happen in your hands for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then it'll stop, which is pretty cool. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, so there's that, and then obviously the alt fire is pretty cool, where you hold down L2 halfway down, and then you press it all the way down to actually activate the alt fire, which I thought would be a problem at first because it is a little bit weird to get used to, but you will get used to it, and it just becomes second nature. But
Okay,
yeah,
so you didn't actually change it. I saw some people actually change like the alt fire since
yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
like R1 that they didn't use, something like that.
yeah. I saw that too,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I didn't change it. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. And would you say, let's say tomorrow, oh snap, a PS5, I should get a game. Should that be my number one game to get, or should I get any of the other PS5?
See,
Well, that's a good question.
I had a friend on my Snapchat who was like, yeah, let me know how the game is, and I was like, like I don't know if this is I don't know if this is a game that I would refer to like quote unquote like casuals, you know what I mean, like to like the
Right.
everyday PS5 owner, like it's sort of like the same thing that I would sort of caution with like Souls games, is that like there's just you got to be in a certain mood to play these games. You got to have a certain mindset to play these games, and for that reason,
Right.
I
You
don't
gotta
like.
be built different.
Not even that, but like just like I don't. You can't be coming into these games thinking, oh, it's a fantasy night game. I'm just gonna be slashing through, enemies and exploring an open world, in Dark Souls. And it's like, nah, man, that's not that game. And Returnal, like, no, like, don't expect this to be like Halo or just like a strictly third person action shooter game or whatever. Like,
Then considering like I've played, we've talked about all the Souls games. I've mentioned Fury, and I adore that game.
yeah, yeah,
I
for you,
love art
yeah,
games.
for you,
So yeah,
yeah,
you think
100%, yeah, you'll be fine with it.
okay, I'll be fine. It gotta be more with the casual, more like, oh, I've never heard about video games. Should I start with this one? That
Right.
would be a bad experience then. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And
Fury's
that
hard as balls, man. That game is
Yeah.
hard.
and this is all within the context of like I haven't gotten to the fourth biome yet. So, and I hear a lot of people are saying that was a bitch too. So like my opinion on this
How
game
many
could
biomes?
totally change upon me getting to that biome. But everything that I've experienced so far is been like it feels like it's not like every death that I have has felt like it's because of me. It's been my fault. Like it's not because the game has been like unfair or anything like that. Like the challenge isn't insurmountable. Like more often than not, it's because okay, I missed this dodge, or I just didn't come into
Yeah.
this scenario the right way. Whatever it may be, it's more often than
Yeah.
not
You
because
you
of
were
you.
not you weren't slouched in the front. You were like laid back, and you're like, nope, gotta get in my A game here.
Hey man, yeah, there's been, especially in
Yeah,
that
that
third
meme.
biome, I had a couple instances of me laying back in my chair, and then I got hit. I was like, okay, hey, wait a minute, hold
Wait,
up.
wait, wait, hold a minute. So final question. I don't know if you mind about or you even care about these, but I usually like to look at the trophy list before I start a game. Have you even taken a look at it? Does it look too
Nah,
bad? Is it
I nah,
no?
I haven't really looked at it. Well, I guess that's a lie. There's some like sort of like manageable things. Like there was one that was like God, like active reload your gun like 5 times or something like that, which is something that is like
Okay.
the percentage is like super common, and I just haven't done that because I just discovered that that was a mechanic in the game that you could active reload like Gears of War style that you could do that. So like this entire time
Nice.
I've been playing the game like waiting for my gun to slowly recharge itself. So so yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until like a couple days ago, where I was watching this streamer play, and she was like, "Oh, you can active recharge like Gears of War," and I was like, "What? when? Since when could you
Wait
do
a
this?"
minute.
Yeah, yeah. So
Gotcha.
really,
Well,
really
Walt,
quickly,
just as a reference, you need at least 100 hours plus to platinum this game.
Bro, the thing that scares me about, I don't platinum every game, but if I can and if it looks somewhat manageable in my realm of skill and patience, I'll do it. That's why I've platinum Bloodborne and I am in the process of platinuming Sekiro on the side. Um, I don't want to think that there's a trophy that's like no damage run or something like that, or a speed run
I
or
have no
something,
idea. There might be, but I
which
have no idea.
oh man. Oh
Um,
man, if you get those are tough.
so really quickly, just touching on story wise. So I guess this kind of ties into Macho's point about the whole $70 thing about like, does
Yeah,
this
yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
like a complete package? And it's definitely like like don't expect this to be like in terms of like a cinematic experience on sort of the sort of in comparison, or at least in the same league of like a God of War or like a Last of Us, or sort of that classic Sony template. There's a little bit of that here, but definitely not to that same degree. um However, the story that is in here, particularly with the house and what's going on with Celine's sort of like downward spiral of a mental state, is definitely the most interesting
Ooh,
stuff about this game. Um,
That's cool.
there's some really like bone chilling, like rattling, like moments in this game that has given me chills, that has kind of made me go like it almost in to same extent as Control, just these moments where I'm just kind of like, what, you know what I mean? Just like kind of like
nice.
jaw on the ground kind of moments like that. um
That's cool.
yeah,
Love that.
and it's one of those stories which like it's in same vein of, as Control, where it's very much like open to interpretation, where there's like a lot of like symbolism, there's a lot of things that it's kind of up to you to kind of piece together to sort of like form your own opinion on exactly what is happening. um
Ooh.
and it's yeah, it's really really cool stuff. And just again, just seeing Celine just kind of like work her way through this stuff and kind of come into contact with previous versions of herself is just sort of the messed up stuff that like is the most tantalizing kind of content of the story. um so yeah, yeah, it's some pretty interesting stuff. So top to bottom, man, I'm having a great time with Returnal. um the thing is it my game of the year? I obviously I have to finish it.
Ooh.
I have to
I think it's
finish
too
it.
early. I think it's too early.
Yeah. Yeah, still too early. Like Hitman 3 is still my game of the year, but Returnal is fucking awesome, man. Like if you can
Ooh.
play it, if you have the means to play it, if you have the 70 to drop on it, yeah. And again, don't let again, I feel like the biggest hurdle, the biggest barricade is that idea of starting back from the beginning. If you can get over that, then I think you'll be fine.
All right, then
Yeah,
I think I
it
think
sounds good, man. I'm
yeah,
down
I
for
think
it. I mean, I probably won't be able to play it till like maybe July, possibly,
Yeah,
but it's definitely on my radar for sure.
yeah. And
you sold me on getting it. That'll be the game I get alongside my PS5 when I get it.
yeah, and sort of like on a tangent, I love sort of the wider discussion this game has kind of brought up on difficulty within the community. Like it almost feels like a Souls game in that sense of like people like constantly checking in with one another, like, oh, what biome did you make it to? Oh, I finally got to the second boss. boss in this biome, but man, he beat me. But you know, I'm getting ready to go back and try again. Like I don't know, I love that sort of like
That's
cooperation,
cool.
that community sense of it, just like talking to people and seeing like, you know, where they're at, how they found this biome in comparison to like another one. Like my most difficult biome might be someone else's easiest biome, for instance. Like I don't know, I really love that aspect of this game. Like seeing Shuhei, you know, playing the game, beating the first boss with a pistol like I did, and there's other people saying like you're crazy, like you fought the first boss with a pistol, like why would you do that? And like it was the same thing that I did, and it's because the game kind of tricks you and drops a pistol right before that boss, and the pistol's like slightly stronger, but it's like a trick because it's like the pistol is so much slower than like a carbine, for instance. Like, why would you go with a pistol? And I fell for the trick, and I guess Shuhei did as well. So like, I don't know. It's so cool seeing you know how people, you know, approach these things, you know, in comparison to how you approached it. So yeah, that sort of community sense with this game is also like an aspect that I did not expect, but it's definitely welcomed. Um, so
Awesome.
yeah,
Cool.
Do
yeah.
you, with this kind of support, do you see it? Do you see Housemark kind of adding some stuff to it, or I don't know, dropping a DLC?
I don't know. I feel like I would be better suited to answering that question once I finish it. Like in terms of like seeing
Okay,
how the story ends, if there is any need for like more story. Uh, because
that makes sense.
where I currently hit. So like the thing with once you finish the third biome, that's basically like a checkpoint. So like now if you were to die in the fourth biome, you restart at the fourth biome instead of restarting all the way back at biome one. So like
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So there that's like the sort of checkpoint right there. But a big story moment happened after the third biome. So like within that context, I still don't know like, you know, if they could add anything, but at the same time, yeah, like I would love if they were to do like you know, just like a seventh biome, you know, just for fun or whatever. I don't know what significance that would have to the story at this point where I'm at, but sure, that'd be cool.
Or like
Yeah,
an
they could
arcade
put
mode of some sort or something like that.
exactly.
Or
I was
Yeah,
about to
yeah,
say, like, it could be the kind of thing where sometimes games do this, where it doesn't have to do anything with the story, but they just justify it as an anomaly where it's like, oh, enter through this crack in the dimension, and then you enter this one biome that's like the ultimate biome. Like, it'll test everything you've learned throughout the whole
that's
game,
pretty
and
cool.
that would be insane. I love when games do that. Where I think very odd example, but Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle did it, where once you finish every level and whatnot, they open these like challenges that's like a massive grid, and it's the ultimate challenge. You apply every skill you've done. You have to bring every character you've collected. You have to like strategize as hard as you can. I love it when a game gives you that ultimate challenge. I hope this game does it eventually or something.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yep.
But yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on Returnal. I absolutely love the game. I can't wait to. I was waiting. You know, as you guys know, the issues and whatnot kind of like prevented me from going back to the game. But it kind of worked out great because, you know, today's my off day, so I can actually like I'm gonna dedicate today to you know, trying to get through a couple more biomes. And I'm excited to do that. I miss playing this game.
Nice.
It's one of those rare games where I just can't stop thinking about it. Yeah, and it's just mechanically, it's just so smart, man. Like everything, even though it might feel overwhelming at first, like everything just makes sense. Everything has a purpose. Um, the risk versus reward sort of gameplay is truly what makes this thing like just work for me. Just the constant like internal battles that you have within yourself of like, okay, like, do I risk taking this item even though it could give me a debuff? Like, yeah, just you're constantly having to make those decisions, and I don't know, it's just mechanically so smart. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Returnal. It's a great game, man. It's a really good game. And for Housemarque's like first foray into AAA, man, it's not that bad. I know the issues have kind of like plagued the game's like conversation, but like I kind of sympathize with them because like I was watching a video Alana Pierce on her YouTube channel about Outriders when their whole server issues was going on and whatnot, and she was talking about like just how hard QA is in general. Like you can never account for like you can run tests in QA, but you can never run tests on that would mirror the sort of player count that you'll see on day one of a game's release. Like you just don't have enough people to actually simulate that sort of experience. And that's, you take that within the context of these teams working from home, and that basically infinitely makes QA even more difficult. And then you add in, Housemarque, this being their first foray into the AAA, sort of space. And I take all of that and I'm like, I kind of sympathize with them, but at the same time, if you're dropping $70 on a game, yeah, you expect it to work. So like, it's a really tough conversation, man. But even with all that, like, they should be really proud, man. They made a hell of a game. So yeah,
I concur. I concur.
yeah. So that's it
And,
for
and,
for
and
go ahead.
sorry, one last thought on something I had mentioned last week. An important conversation that did stem up. It wasn't. It included Sailor, I believe his last name is, the blind gamer, and his talk about accessibility in this game and whatnot, and how he was elaborating on the fact that accessibility doesn't necessarily mean let's say a save feature or like an easy mode, but more so options that allow you to customize it to the point of making it an just as difficult experience, yet rewarding and one that you can make progress in for those with disabilities. And to my point last week, which I mentioned, Housemarque is not here to tuck you in bed and whatnot. As much as I believe that if a company wants to make a hard game purposefully, then they should just stick to their guns. If the game itself, it has like this odd balance of, because you just mentioned how for you it hasn't been extremely hard, it's more of a learning curve, but how it can be demoralizing when you have all this progress and whatnot and just die immediately. I do think still that, although I don't think this is a cut and dry decision where Housemarque should just do a save feature or whatever, I do think that the conversation of should this game have more options to make it an easier, quote unquote, or a more tolerable experience, considering it is a game at the end of the day, I think it's important to have those conversations still. And I think it's funny how people will argue that all games should have easy mode, where you can talk about it, you can make that point, but if that's not the core point of the game, what makes the game, that high risk, high reward, that challenge, and yet satisfying when you achieve a goal or when you beat a biome or when you kill a boss or whatever, then I don't think it's necessary to put that function in. So going back to that point, I'm glad we're having these conversations. I'm glad that the internet is it's a place where, back in the day, I wasn't alive back in the day, but I hear how people would have to like wait until the next magazine came out. They had to go to their friends and talk about the game. They didn't have any idea of how the games were beaten and whatnot. And I think that having this much, communication helps in terms of figuring out what are the key problems with games. So I'm just glad that this is a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so let's get off the Returnal talk and let's get into some of these topics. So Discord and PlayStation have entered a little partnership, which was kind of funny because especially this was just the timing of it all, man. Like they coming off the backs of Xbox or Microsoft trying to purchase Discord, and then that falling through, and then PlayStation just kind of like it's just the timing was really funny. Just PlayStation coming in and entering a partnership, and yeah, I totally see why this would be more beneficial to Discord. Like, sure, we don't have to get, completely like outright purchased by a giant mega corporation. Instead, we can have a mega corporation, buy stake within our company. While we still have sort of the freedom to do our thing. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, you don't want to get Disneyfied, you know? You don't want to get bought instantly.
Yeah. So essentially, Jim Ryan came out on the PlayStation blog and announced the news and saying that there's already plans. They're already working on integration with Discord and the PlayStation Network. So what are you guys thinking that this integration specifically can be? Like, what is this going to look like in 2022 when this rolls out?
Well, it makes sense now why they just abruptly closed PlayStation Communities.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of just like a DOA
Yeah.
kind of
Let's be honest.
idea anyway.
No one used
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, it really. I mean, we even tried it for Lords of Gaming .net, where I think they have the standing for like Xbox, and I remember one of the editors reached out to me and said, "Hey, let's start something on PlayStation," and we had like 3 people on there
Yeah.
because like no one used communities. It's like it's just the way it was.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's gonna have like sort of the Discord integration into it, which is really nice. I think you just link your accounts and it'll be super easy. I really like the idea because a lot more people are using Discord nowadays. I would say more often than like Twitter or like or whatever case may be. But they're using it a lot more for podcast platforms, just for communication in general, which is cool. And I don't really use Discord all that much. I mostly just use it every now and then. So if I could have it, and I want to learn more about it, it's just like it's like an afterthought. So the fact that it's going to be integrated into PlayStation, where I'm actually going to be learning a little bit more and kind of just getting into the tweaks of it, but through my everyday gaming device, yeah, that's cool with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I for me, a lot. No, not even a lot. Every single buddy that I have on PlayStation, that they own a PlayStation, they all got a PC recently. Literally all of them, the whole group, and they made a whole server. I frequent there on my PC and whatnot, and being able to just chill and on the couch playing my games while on Discord chatting with my buddies on PC. That idea alone, I'm all for it, baby. And whenever they enable, hopefully someday, crossplay between Destiny 2, they play Destiny 2 on PC, I do too, but I'll be able to also play it on PlayStation, so I'll be able to play with them over here while chatting on Discord.
Yeah.
Because as much as, PlayStation Party, the feature is all great and all, I don't like the decision they made of making it exclusively between message like groups, where you have to build the message group and then join the party chat. I like to just hop here and there between friend groups that like we're open to just having people chat and whatever. So having that functionality with Discord where you can, which I don't know how they're gonna make it where you can switch between servers. Will we have an actual like UI here where you see the whole Discord, like all your channels and whatnot? I don't know how that's gonna work. I know Xbox has a platform similar to that where you have the Discord layout and you can chat with people from Discord that are on PC there. I forgot the name of it, but I'm glad for PlayStation. Finally, this feels like a no-brainer that should have happened like a long time ago. But given that there was no partnership, there was no integration of it or whatever, I get it. The timing, again, it does seem hilarious how it was 1 week it was no, and then the next week, nah, psych, we're partnering with them. You know what I mean? It was very, no, I got a better offer, which makes sense. Again, you're right. They were going to lose probably full autonomy over their own decisions if bought by Microsoft. So might as well just have a conversation instead of getting orders. So I'm glad. This is great news for me, for a lot of people like that.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of to an earlier point, like, yeah, the sort of potential with just playing this essentially will ease the sort of hurdles of being able to talk to friends and playing games at the same time. And yeah, games like Fortnite are some of the biggest games on the platform. So, having
Not
that
the
that
biggest.
sort of like feather in your cap, is definitely, it definitely makes the platform more appealing to have this just sort of baked in naturally to PlayStation Network.
Yeah, especially with the rise of battle royales and games like Apex and Fortnite. How you mentioned Warzone, you have a lot. They're gonna keep coming. These and crossplay is gonna become more of a thing as we go on, and probably every console is gonna have it. Even for some reason, you can play on Fortnite on Switch and play with people on PC. That's bizarre. People on Fortnite, I don't know how you can do that. Uh, but I'm glad that that's gonna be a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually how I can integrate video clips and make to Discord and then save those on my computer for like an article on Lords of Gaming. I'm really looking forward to seeing how I can like minimize like or at least cut the middleman where I usually put like a USB drive, then put that to my computer and then have to upload it. And I'm looking forward to just going to my computer, downloading it from Discord, and just like putting it in an article or something. That sounds a lot more convenient.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so overall, pretty cool
Great news.
announcement. I feel like came out of nowhere, right? Like just kind of woke up on Monday and it was just like bam,
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah,
Monday was
man.
Um,
Yeah.
crazy.
Just like
Monday was insane, man.
just like MLB, the show came out of nowhere on Game Pass.
oh
Discord is like,
man.
hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what?
Oh man, why'd you have to bring that
Bro.
up, man? I got PTSD from that, man. Um,
It's funny, right? Microsoft got MLB
it's
on
like
their
it's
side,
funny, right?
and PlayStation now has partnership with Discord, and they're with Evo now. Like they're doing a lot of not complete takeovers, but more of side things and more half and half seas here, half seas there, which is
Well,
interesting.
speaking of partnerships, I can get into that a little later, but still continue on with what you're gonna say.
I mean that pretty much wraps up the conversation with Discord. But speaking of partnerships, Final Fantasy. Let's Macho. Let's get
it's
into
my
that.
it's
It's
my
your,
time. Well,
yeah.
It's your time to shine, boy.
Yeah. So this was during the what was the last soldier or the final soldier, right? The live
yeah, the
stream,
first soldier.
first
Yeah.
soldier that this news kind of broke out. Yeah, we got more information on Intergrade. So tell us about it. What's going on, man?
Right, so for people that are not aware, Intergrade is basically just a re-release of sorts that's adding all the enhancements that's only releasing on PS5, mind you, and it's also including the Yuffie DLC, which takes place after the events of the game itself. So it is a continuation of the story, and it is confirmed that the DLC is going to be really just kind of the carrying over into Final Fantasy Remake Part 2. So the director did say that Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 is going to continue from Intergrade, not just from Remake. So again, it's all one big story here that we're going to go
Love
along
it.
with. And
Love
yeah,
to hear it.
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, man. But of course, one of the biggest things that came from it was like this new trailer. So we had like a final trailer that revealed a whole bunch of new information and extra bosses and kind of like where the story's going. And it's gonna be pretty crazy to see the sort of like the this secret chapter almost of Yuffie Kasaragi and her new partner that's like seems like a new character that we haven't seen before kind of infiltrate the Shinra evil company and kind of like steal like their materia but also like uncover like the secrets are within, which is in this new trailer that has like all these crazy looking bosses and also just callbacks to past games as well. So it's gonna be nuts, and I'm really excited for it. It's seeming up to be a lot bigger than what I was expecting. It's just not gonna be like this really quick episode. It's actually gonna be very what's the meaty in a sense, or what's
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
word I'm looking
Fleshed
for?
out.
Substantial.
Yeah, substantial. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be really substantial to like as far as what it's gonna bring. But one of the things that's gonna be new is a lot of people are asking for in the Final Fantasy VII Remake vanilla release was that Ramu The Lightning God is going to make an appearance in this DLC. He's going to be summoned material. He looks amazing. They also touched. No, that's the Leviathan. Ramu is the lightning sorcerer that basically summons kind of like a mountain, and he just casts like a lightning and does like a bunch of damage.
Did he show up in Final Fantasy 15? Was he a summon there?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
he was the same thing. Old guy, long beard.
Yeah.
Like has a staff. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that people had a big question about was how they're going to do the Fort Condor minigame, which is sort of like this castle, not castle crash, that's not what I'm thinking of. It's kind of like a
tower defense.
Tower defense. That's what I'm thinking, like defense-based tower defense kind of sort of game. And so the way it seems like it's going to be here is going to be like it looks like a turn-based like tactical game more or less. It looks way more refined and a lot more fun than what it was from the first game. And the first game was good. It was enjoyable, but this is definitely like following the remake mantra of just stepping up and taking up a notch that's up to 11 and just really going in on like the systems and stuff like that. So it's going to be good. And last thing I mentioned as far as partnership for Fantasy VII Remake, a lot of people had a question. A lot of people outside the PlayStation realm, Xbox and PC running. When's it come to PC? When's it come to Xbox Game Pass? It looks like you might be waiting a little longer because Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is a 6-month exclusive as per the trailer of the final trailer that came out today. So people are having a lot of questions on what about the vanilla version? What about it's like you might not know for another 6 months, so be prepared to wait till 2022.
Yeesh. God damn.
Interesting.
Oh my god, don't do that, man. Don't do that. No, we are not, let me just PSA, we are not that kind of podcast, okay? That's not us. Excuse the actions of Walt there. That does not represent the DualShock Sense Podcast.
I am the Final Fantasy fanatic, and I do not approve of this message. No, I mean, yeah, it sucks for that camp, absolutely, especially you've been waiting. But man, like I am just a hardcore advocate. If you really want to play something, you will make ways to play it.
Interesting. And gotta be honest, man, I was looking forward to playing. I played it on the remake on PlayStation, but I wanted to play Intergrade on PC, and it sucks that I have to wait 6 more months. Although I can buy it on PlayStation, but I don't. I want to play. Dude, I want to have the true experience. PS5. I want that experience.
Yeah, I was about to say you can't play Intergrade on PS4.
Yeah, that's the thing. I need the PS5, and I have to wait too. So the sad trombone is for me, bro. Like, what do you mean? I'm also
it's
you know what I mean?
I know that's the other thing too, where people were saying that it's not just Xbox and PC that's like can't be able to play Intergrade, or at least like the Yuffie DLC is probably PS4 users as well because it is a PS5 console exclusive. Yeah, I know that's the other that's the other bad part about it is that they are making it like an exclusive premiere experience, but this goes back to what Jim Ryan was saying before, where we're really going to hamper on exclusives and third-party content and make PS5 an absolute, prized product that we want to showcase. Oh, yeah. So it really speaks to that, and people are wondering, like, is it really substantial to kind of have this sort of stuff? And I think it is, because when you look at the player base for games like Destiny or Call of Duty, and then you look for stuff like this where there's like a hardcore fan base for Final Fantasy, they're gonna pick up this game. They're gonna do what they can to find that console and pick it up.
And how you said that, if you want to play a game, you will find a way to play it. That's extra true with Final Fantasy fans. When they want to play a game.
That's for me. That's at least for me personally. That's like with any game that I really want to play. Like when I really wanted to play. God, what was it?
Ori?
Not Ori. It was something on the Wii. I think it was either Zelda Skyward Sword or like Mario Kart, something like that. When I really wanted to play like those Wii games, I went out and got a Wii. Like even if I wasn't going to use it as much. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So like for me, like it's all about actually like if I really want to play it and if I think it's worth it. I did the
I'm
same thing for
grinding.
PS. I did the same thing for PS Vita with Persona 4 Golden. Um,
Woo.
yeah, I did the same thing for my PC when I really wanted to delve into Witcher 3 on PC. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, yeah. So speaking of past partnerships and whatnot, we also got some information on RGG's next title, which is a sequel to 2019's Judgment. So this was interesting because the day before, the Japanese PSN store actually leaked this game's September release, and they actually confirmed that yeah, this game is real. Today we got a new trailer. We got the team at RGG sort of talking about the title. So yeah, we learned a couple interesting things. One of the most sort of like striking and most notable details for me was that the game is having a simultaneous worldwide release. Right? It's no longer going to be this staggered release that we've kind of been accustomed to with Persona and Yakuza games. Where, for instance, Persona 5 Royal, I believe, came out in like September of 2019 in Japan, and then it came out in, what was it, February that following year in the West. I probably got
Yeah.
those dates a little
I
bit
mean,
off, but yeah, it
yeah, I
was
think it's
something.
February or
recent game.
March, one of those two.
Yeah, it was
A
something
more
along
recent
those.
and staggering, like, in between time was Scramble. It came out like nearly like a year or so before in Japan, and then came out in the West. What? Yes, this year.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that was definitely, um, yeah, that was something that we definitely grew accustomed to, and now they've gotten to the point where, and I guess this kind of speaks to sort of how big, Yakuza has really grown and resonated with people in the
oh yeah,
West, or just in a worldwide basis, that they have gotten to a point, or at least they find it sort of important enough for them to actually prioritize the release to match up with the Japanese release, and I think that's really really cool, and that speaks volumes to how far this sort of once niche franchise has come since its original debut on the PS2. Would you guys agree with that?
oh for sure, dude, for sure. Especially now, how when you if you play like a dragon, it does feel like it caters more towards a Western audience in terms of its themes, its characters, just its overall feel. If you give a modern, let's say someone that has never played a Yakuza game, and you give them Yakuza Zero, Yakuza Kiwami, Yakuza Six, and Like a Dragon, those are four completely different games in one way or another. So the fact that they read one of them resonated with different people, they all just made their way here, and I'm glad that RGGG they noticed how well this is received. I said G so many times I had to say. And the same with the Ease franchise. You know, we're not talking about Ease, but it just goes to show how so many like Japanese titles and Near Replicant, that was a game that only came out in Japan once, and they brought it to the West. This is not only with Yakuza games; it's happening with so many like Japanese, once exclusive titles, and they're now making their way here. And with Yakuza, especially, and the making its debut here. What was it like with Zero back in the day? Like that was the one that burst the bubble of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
being
definitely.
like, "Whoa, what is this world?"
Definitely, yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. Actually, I mean, I played a little bit of Yakuza Zero, and I never finished it just because I wasn't ready for that kind of game where
Mm.
their cutscenes are very long, and
Oh yeah, they're
it's
movie length.
yeah. I was not ready for it. I was ready just to kind of get into the world and like really like explore like the little sub open world they have there and just kind of grind into that. But it took way too long, and my patient was just like, I'll tackle this another time. Um,
Mm.
but then when that time came, I actually ended up playing Judgment, and the one thing that sold me on it was that people were saying it's like a Phoenix Wright meets Yakuza, and I love
essentially.
Phoenix Wright. Yeah, so for me, this
Mine
was
is the light
like,
novel part.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But this is like my gateway drug to that entire franchise, and I definitely want to make it where I'm doing the same thing with Assassin's Creed, where I'm playing one game a month. I want to do the same thing with Yakuza, where I'm playing one game a month, really diving into each game and kind of enjoying it. But
Yeah, that's a good
Judgment,
plan.
Love to
yeah,
hear.
yeah,
I haven't played it myself.
I get burnt out on games easily, so yeah, for me it's the best way to kind of tackle it. But
Oh
Judgment
man,
though, Walt, you told me before you have not played it.
I haven't played it,
It's
man.
excellent. It's really good. The
But I keep
story's
hearing, man.
awesome.
Yeah.
The side quests themselves are really funny and goofy. It feels like it has like that nostalgia flair, or that nostalgia, the Yakuza flair that I've seen people share.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Yakuza can be both equally as wacky and as serious,
Yeah,
and they
it
nail it
strikes
on both
that
fronts.
balance so well.
It's ridiculous how it does both of them so well. Like you believe it when you get in those movie length cutscenes and you feel the grittiness of the Yakuza world, the underworld, and you see how these, families they battle it out and they talk finances and who's gonna succeed who. But then you go on the street and there's this one dude in his underwear saying that he's looking for a good time or whatever, and you're like, what the hell is going on? You know?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, how they manage to do it, because it almost feels like two separate games packed into one. Where yeah, you
Oh
are
yeah,
tackling these emotional, really heartfelt, grounded stories in the main campaign, but then once you
exactly.
go into the side sub stories, it just feels like anything goes, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's really, and it all works. It all
It
really works
works.
well. Um,
Then that just sort of like set expectations, and I feel like Judgment is a little less of that.
okay.
Yeah, you
It
play as a lawyer, right?
really just going into the weeds of like these yakuza families, and but it's more surrounding this murder mystery and how deep and layered it is, and kind of like who's like the power players and how can we tackle this, and of course you have this really cool buddy interaction between the main character and his friend who was I think he was excommunicated from the yakuza or something like that. It's been a while since I played it, but it's a really good dynamic of what they did, like different like side characters and how they introduced, and so it has like all that rich story flavor that you want from these kind of games, or at least from the studio. But I don't know, maybe I needed to play more of the side quests to really get that goofy sense, because there was one side quest where you had to track down this pervert who stole like this girl's panties. Um,
Was it like Ass
so
Ketchum or something like that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah. It's yeah. So like there is stuff there, and I want to dive more into it, but I love that we're getting a sequel to it because the trailer looks awesome,
Oh
and
man.
it makes me really excited for September because now that's Tales of Arise and Lost Judgment coming in the same month, and
yeah,
Oh.
I'm really pumped for that.
yeah. And like to that point, like it feels like this year is like a little bit more starting to take shape, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the major complaint is, and understandably so, is that this year has felt kind of light. Like we don't know what is coming out, but like I feel like in recent weeks we've kind of had some release dates come out with like Biomutant, Tales, now this. Intergrade
Hmm.
obviously is coming out in June. Ratchet and Clank is coming out in June.
Guilty Gear Strive is also June as well.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it definitely feels like
Yeah.
yeah, like
And we got I don't know if we if recently we've got any news on it, but I forgot the name of the subtitle, but the new Nier game. I think it's a remake or remaster
yeah,
of an old Nier game, which is
Replicant, yeah.
also
yeah.
no, not Replicant. There's another one that they're making. Uh, I forgot the subtitle. I'll look it up. But
Is
yeah,
it
keep going.
Reincarnation? I think that's a mobile
Reincarnation, I
one.
think it
Yeah,
is.
that's a
No,
mobile
is it?
game.
No, let me check. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
mobile.
I think it's mobile. Um, but yeah, that's definitely exciting. And it
For sure.
just kind of makes you wonder like what else is planned for this year. Um, which hey, it's E3 season. I want to ask you guys really quickly. Do you guys think um First of all, we should totally. I don't know how viable this is, but we should totally. I'm gonna bring this up to you guys now live on the DualShock Sense podcast.
Oh, the pressure, the pressure.
We should look into doing like a live reaction to some of these press conferences. I think that
You
would
read
be
my mind.
that would be pretty cool.
You read my damn mind. Last week, not even last week, for 2 weeks, I've been thinking, yo, it'd be really dope. We keep hearing, E3. We keep hearing all these, like, they keep recently Bandai Namco. We got Square Enix. We got so many companies that they're starting to say that they're gonna be showing up. And I'm like, bro, this is perfect reaction content to just and talk about what we're seeing and talk about what's possible and what's not and what our predictions and all this. I'm down. I mean, no pressure at all. I'm like completely down. I don't know, Macho, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm absolutely down for that too. It's gonna be, of course, because when is it? June 10th through the 13th, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just see when the actually is.
I think
Yeah,
it's
just
10th to 13th. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll check back because with some stuff in personal life
Yeah,
that's
for
I'm
sure.
going through the you guys already know I'm going through that transition, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna see right now see what timing is gonna be down for. 'Cause I still don't have like a set time really, so
Yeah, I'm not asking you to make a decision right now. I'm just bringing up the idea.
yeah.
Just bringing up the idea.
No, yeah, I'll keep that in mind because I definitely want to do that
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
I don't know. Although I don't know if I want to watch the Square Enix conference, man. Because if they're showing Avengers on again, man, I'm gonna have to fart on that, man. You know.
Come on, dude, Black Panther. Really, you gonna fart on Black Panther? The disrespect.
No Black Panther, bro.
The disrespect.
Hey, I'm not.
He's like Wakanda. You saying Wakanda never? Is that what you saying?
Hey,
Bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna fart on the Square Enix Marvel's Avengers version of Black Panther. Yeah, 100%. I haven't even seen the guy yet, but I know I'm gonna fart on that.
No, this is Wakanda never. I can't.
No, wait. Speaking of Wakanda, they did announce the sequel called Wakanda Forever, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
The sequel
Yeah,
to the first one.
That's pretty cool.
Shouts to man.
All right, so yeah, that's it for Lost Judgment, man. I'm excited. They also talked about that moving forward, which kind of surprised me. Or maybe it's not that much of a surprise, just based off of the success of Like a Dragon. Is that going forward that all Yakuza games are going to be turn-based RPGs from now on, while Judgment will remain the sort of classic action-oriented games of yore.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And spin-offs, more spin-offs possibly, because they did do Fist of the North Star, which is more in line with the older Yakuza games, beat 'em ups, RPGs, and hopefully, man, gotta manifest it. Hopefully, we'll get a localized Ishin. I think it is Yakuza Ishin or Kenzan, which is the samurai era Yakuza-esque game where you play as all the modern characters are Kiryu Majima, but it is set in a samurai, more Showa era, which I hope it gets localized.
Sato talked about is it what's the producer? I'm gonna look that up really quick. What's the Yakuza producer's name? Is it Daisuke Sato, or am I thinking of someone else?
Isn't it Toshihiro?
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know where I got that name from.
Nagoshi?
Yeah, you're right. Toshinori? Nagoshi?
We're saying so many names.
No, I'm pretty sure it is Toshinori.
Toshikoshi.
God, where is it? Anyway,
Miyamoto? Shigeru?
Yeah.
God damn it, now I lost my train of thought. God. Oh, okay, I got it. Man, man, you guys can't stop me. God damn. Okay. So
you can't stop me.
So he was saying last year that essentially that the success of Ghost of Tsushima he believes has opened up the path for RGG to basically localize Ishin and Kenzan and bring it to the West.
Yes. Bring
Um,
that.
yeah, that he believes that the success of that game has opened the minds of gamers to be like more like readily acceptable
The minds
or
of
accepting of
gamers,
those
the third
games.
eye.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, man. Hopefully.
yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah, I think
I
you
don't
guys have
mind.
more weight in this conversation than I do, since I didn't really delve in deep into Yakuza game. But
Bro, you have to.
yeah, I'm kind of not surprised at the same time, like you, Soul.
Yeah,
Bro,
definitely. I mean,
makes sense.
just based off of how well Seven did. Yeah, not too surprised.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's a good fit too, because the way Judgment plays is so well done, and
Yeah.
its mechanics and just like how it feels, and it makes sense for like the way it is, and the way Yakuza 7 kind of just broke off into like this really goofy turn-based combat. I think it really spoke to a lot of people.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, honestly,
Um,
I'm down for more turn-based games. Honestly, I'm down for more Ichiban as well. I'm excited.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely something very impressive that they were able to do. Like you have a character, and I feel like this is something that didn't really work well for like Assassin's Creed, for instance, is that when you have a character, or God, like even look at something like Gears of War, when you have an established protagonist for so long, it's kind of tough to move on from that and kind of tell players that they need to care about this new character instead. It's something very tough and like a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. And for
Infamous didn't do it
Yakuza,
right.
I don't know how they did it, but they managed to make that transition like fairly seamlessly almost.
Yeah, I mean, in the game itself, there's a lot of passing down the torch kind of approach and theming in the game itself, and how essentially this is not a replacement of the previous character. It is more of just this is someone else. This is someone else's story, and I think they nailed it in the game, establishing how
Yeah,
we recognize this as the new successor of this franchise. You know?
yeah. Um, okay, so for our last topic, I wanted to kind of like this was something that kind of stemmed from this whole Epic versus Apple, court stuff that's been happening this week. A lot of interesting stuff has kind of been coming out from this whole sort of court case. One of the things that happened. That was revealed from this whole court case was Xbox's analysis of The Last of Us Part 2, which I wanted to have you guys seen this or read what happened or what they thought?
I did. I did. It
Yeah.
was very candid.
Yeah.
Now I am new to this. I have not read anything about it. I need you to fill me in on
Yeah, so they
this.
conducted a internal analysis of The Last of Us Part 2, which is really cool because I would love to see other sort of companies' opinions on just other not necessarily like rival developers, or just like, for instance, what does CD Project Red think of Assassin's Creed or something like that, like a crossover like this. I love
Yeah, yeah.
just in general seeing devs' opinions on other titles and whatnot. So the analysis went like this, quote unquote: "The Last of Us Part 2 is the exceedingly rare video game where what it accomplishes in moving forward the art of narrative storytelling in video games as a medium ultimately outweighs whether or not everyone likes it, or even if everyone has fun playing it." Which I think that last so like in general, like the rest of this review kind of reads like a robot, to be honest. Like it's very
AI.
like there's like one part in this where they're like, Mike and Josh played the game or finished playing the game. It's just like, oh yeah, great job guys. Like you did it. Like
Clap, clap, clap.
and like in like that part that I just read where it says pushing for the art of narrative storytelling in video games. Like that's just one of those, like, it feels like word soup. Like it's just kind of like a nothing statement. Like it's just like I don't know.
Try ibuprofen today.
It,
Call 911.
I don't know. It's just so like whatever to me, but like the rest of the analysis was kind of cool to see that
Interesting.
um and they also said like Macho, if do you remember this part also where they kind of said like the gunplay was kind of like Naughty Dog still doesn't know how to make like good gunplay in their games. Did you read that part?
Yeah, I did. I found that very bold considering from what I've heard that this was like the best gameplay that they've done.
Yeah, it's basically the closest thing that we've gotten to a Metal Gear game in years, and the gunplay is fucking awesome, dude. It's
It's
without a doubt
phenomenal.
their best gunplay in that they've ever done.
Aside from
So,
Uncharted 4. Yeah.
oh no, I feel like no, I feel like it blows Uncharted 4 out of the water in terms of gameplay.
I do think Uncharted 4 nails gunplay with its approach to how, it's all just bombastic action and whatever. Last of Us does focus a lot more on stealth and, methodical approaches to different, like, sandbox little areas, which I think they nail with their gunplay. But I do think they both do well with their own respective approaches and whatnot.
Yeah, that was just that line itself kind of struck out. I mean, they says so many great things, right? And that's like the obvious focus because it seems like they have like a real not tunnel vision, but like a narrow focus on what they want to accomplish and like their in as far as their first party stuff.
Yeah.
And gameplay for them is obviously a big focus too, and why they kind of said that. But it baffled me because like from all I hear from people, reviewers and peers, is that this is the best gameplay that Naughty Dog has done, and it feels great to play. So I was very confused by that.
It was
Yeah.
phenomenal. I haven't felt how it. I don't know if it even. If the DualSense you can feel the gunplay or not. I
No,
don't know
no,
if they. No. Dude,
no.
that would be insane. Because if one thing Last of Us 2 does with its gameplay is making you feel like you're actually just taking lives out of caskets. Like you really are just turning people into like flesh sacks. You truly are disintegrating people.
Jesus.
And it is
Oh my god, what a term! What the-
insane. It feels
Jesus.
amazing.
He said flesh sacks. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
But
Yeah, bro.
yeah.
Get
So
dark.
um and I thought that there in the review, the part that I just read, them saying that like it ultimately outweighs sort of let me get back to that quote and read it exactly.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so so the part that I had like an issue with, that the narrative story, it pushes forward the art of narrative storytelling, but then that ultimately outweighs whether or not everyone likes it or even if everyone has fun playing it. I think kind of perfectly encapsulates like, I mean, I love the game regardless, but like yeah, like I feel like that's a total like valid sort of like sort of like capturing of what that game did, like in terms of like truly doing something risky. And I know people like to say that, oh, that story was not risky, but I mean, look at the reaction that it brought upon, like how it fractured like the community in half essentially. Like doing that is risky. So
Yeah,
like
I didn't even play it because of that, man.
yeah, so like I think because of that, in a way, the fact that it was able to do that and take the chances and the risks that it did, and how they say that it ultimately outweighs if people had fun with the game, I think is yeah, a pretty interesting quote within itself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. People didn't talk about anything else but the story when it came out. The gameplay was not controversial. The customizer wasn't controversial. It was the story and the characters. That was the whole debacle back then. And it still is. There's still people that will die on the hill that the story was completely uninspired and very generic, and it is far from that, mind you. It is far from generic or traditional even. It took, like you said, massive risks, and those risks led to people hating on half of the game because of
and like
reasons.
and like even like I feel like there's this stigma like with the word like generic and tropes and whatnot. Like I feel like if done right, like then tropes and generic sort of story themes and whatnot isn't necessarily
Yeah, it's in the
a bad.
context that it's used.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the things within The Last of Us Part Two aren't inherently unique or anything like that, but it's just the way that it does it that
Yeah, it's the execution.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like how earlier I mentioned how Resident Evil does have tropes that I love, and again, I love. I do love those tropes. Now, if I say that it has tropes that I dislike, then it is in a negative context. But again, people like to distort that. People loved to doing that on Twitter and just distorting people's perspective and just calling out anyone who liked the actual game.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a pretty cool thing to see. Just sort of like, and this is the sort of those are these sort of things that we don't really get to see very often, and it's interesting that we needed a court case to kind of get like a glimpse behind the curtain almost, which is really cool. Is there like any like I want you guys to make like a dream scenario. Is there like a specific company that you want to see like review like another company's game or something like that? Like sort of in the vein of Xbox reviewing The Last of Us Part 2? Right, like
There's a
would
couple that
you
come to,
go ahead?
there's a couple that come to mind, and it would be really interesting for me to see how NetherRealm would look at a Capcom fighting game, or vice versa, and see like what they did in their formula and their approach to kind of like have such a success. Because Mortal Kombat has always been a successful franchise, no matter what franchise it is, or whatever, no matter what game it is. And
Yeah.
Capcom has really been struggling in that fighting game realm lately, especially with Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which like was a great fighting game, but it just looked ugly and it didn't have long legs in the end of it. So I mean, it would be really interesting. There's kind of like there's rumors going around that NetherRealm might be working on a Marvel game, and it could be a fighting game. And even what was it, Ed Boon, who was one of the co-creators or
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah.
of the leads on Mortal Kombat. Yeah, he tweeted out, I was like, it's interesting how Ryan Reynolds, or who was it he say? Yeah, was it Ryan Reynolds? Where it's like,
I don't know.
yeah, you say one of these actors like, wow, it's amazing how this one person. Oh no, James Gunn. That's what it was. James Gunn worked
Yeah.
on DC. Yeah, he said work on DC and Marvel. That's so interesting. And everybody was like, Ed, what are you trying to insinuate here? Like, so be like that would be a really cool conversation for me to see like how each of those fighting game studios kind of look at the other and like kind of like absorb like what makes it good and what makes it bad. Because fighting games are really hard to make, and it'd be interesting to kind of see that deep analysis.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, in my case, I don't know if it's just his very, you could say, unique approach to storytelling and just general philosophy when it comes to developing games. But I like Kojima. To hear Kojima's take on major narrative games like Last of Us, or him revisiting the Metal Gear Solid and like series and like talking about what he would have changed or what he thinks he failed on. Just generally hear Kojima's takes on purely narrative experiences. Even hear him talk about Resident Evil and what are the redeeming qualities of Resident Evil's story, if there even are any. I don't know. I just want to hear him talk about stories and games.
Yeah, I think that would be mine actually. Kojima with Last of Us Part 2, because you guys remember Yoji Shinkawa, he did that sort of collaboration art sort of poster for Last of Us Part 2 on Outbreak Day. I think maybe it probably was 2020 when they did it, or 2019 maybe. I don't know.
So long ago.
Yeah. And so that insinuated to me that like, okay, maybe Kojima Productions played the game. But yeah, I don't know. I always love seeing Kojima's opinions on movies and whatnot. So I would have loved to see what his thoughts were
Absolutely.
on that game specifically because he is such a Hollywood buff, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think that would have been cool.
Oh yeah. And
Um,
I definitely would like to hear his points, and I hopefully it's not a Miyazaki situation where I started looking at interviews with him and him talking about anime movies, and including there's a clip of him visiting his son's like debut, like first movie premiere, and he walked out of the movie theater like that was his disappointment. When he gets to the caliber of like an actual like director or movie maker, I'll be here. But right now, he's not good. He's not good enough. I'm hoping that's not like what would come out of Kojima's mouth. Although I think that's what will come out because I hear that he's really tough to work with. He's very tough, just tough to work with. You know, lack of a better word. I don't want to fucking babble, slander the guy. But yeah, that'd be fascinating to hear.
yeah, so yeah, that would definitely be my pick for sure.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, I guess that's going to wrap up the podcast, guys. We made it work. There wasn't really too much to talk about, but I think we were able to make it work. Um, so
For
yeah,
sure.
like always, guys, go ahead and toss us a like. We would greatly appreciate that. Consider subscribing to the channel as well. And shout out to the guys who stopped by through the podcast and rocked with us for a little bit. We see y'all and we appreciate y'all. So yeah, we're
That
gonna
damn seal's back.
yeah, right. God damn. Um, we
Walt.
we really need to put a bullet through that seal, man, or something.
Yo.
Oh, we gonna get started with these outros. Walt, go ahead,
Yo.
man.
Well, given the circumstances, I won't be having any means of writing. So for the next probably 3 weeks, because everything will be on its way to the new place. So uh, don't look forward to anything there. Although, if I get the chance and I get my laptop working, which it hasn't worked in like months, you can go ahead and in the description at Walt Lando on Twitter and check out whatever I might drop there. Could be video game related, could be manga related, could be anime related. I don't know. It's whatever it goes, man. It could
Jeez,
be Resident Evil related.
that laugh, man.
I'll be doing. You know what I mean?
That was like I feel like that that's like again the Birdman rubbing his hands here. He's like, I don't know, man.
That was me
But
today,
yeah,
man.
Oh
I'll
man.
be just beating and trying to beat Resident Evil Village on hardcore mode.
Oh, pause, man.
Ooh. Ooh.
No, no. We'll see how that goes. Other than that, not much there in writing terms.
Uh, wait, I don't think
The hell, Jay?
did you nothing.
Say it, Jay.
Wait, I don't think you guys caught it, right? Because
What?
you were like beating. I was like, pause, man.
I didn't hear the beating part, but I did hear the hardcore part.
No. I said
I mean,
pause.
Jay,
Oh,
shut
yeah.
the hell up. What were you, Macho?
No, okay. So like, there on Instagram, I follow this basketball player, and there's this sandwich at Arby's called I think it's like the Mega Meat or something like that. And so he was doing this like I don't think it was a sponsorship, but he was doing this challenge. I guess you had to like eat the entire sandwich or something like that. And it's called the Mega Meat Challenge. And everybody in the comments, dude, everybody in the comments was like, "Yo, pause." Like everybody was like, "Hey, yo." There, like guys were like, "Hey, man, I didn't like this challenge, man." Like, pause on that, man. Pause on this challenge. Like it was the
Man,
funniest thing, man.
I see. So talk about Resident Evil. You think about meat, bro? What? The
No,
hell is going on?
you said beating, like hardcore, man. You're like beating. So I was like, hey man. I was like, pause, man.
Man, Walt, we know university is stressful, but keep it in the pants.
Hey,
We don't even know about that.
That's where the seal comes from. That's where the seal comes from, man. Macho.
Man, think
That's
about
why.
beating
That's
other
why he's
shit.
adjusting his mic all the
Yeah,
time. Okay,
that's what it is. Macho, take it away, man. What's your outro, man?
Yeah, don't think
I
about
got.
meat, though.
First of all, I'm going back to Arby's.
Oh
No, I'm
man,
just kidding.
that mega meat challenge, man.
No,
Golly.
I got a Resident Evil Village review planned up. It's gonna be a little tough just because the personal life is definitely hidden in all sorts of ways, and I'm trying to just basically get all my ducks in a row. But that is going to be a thing, so look for that on lordsofgaming.net. And anything else really? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade comes out, and it's June 11th. Man, it's gonna be exciting. I'm definitely gonna be there, and yeah, that's about it, man. Enjoy the weekend, and have a safe weekend as well. Enjoy Resident Evil, enjoy Returnal, just have fun.
Yes,
Yeah, enjoy all the
sir.
beatings.
Oh man. Yeah, for me, I don't know if I have anything planned. Maybe another Returnal boss guide. I'll probably start working on that. Um, and then so I actually had like a pretty yesterday actually. I had a well needed breakthrough with I don't know if I well yeah you guys know because obviously you guys follow me on Twitter, but yeah I'm writing a book and I had a nice little breakthrough yesterday where so like I have about half of it written and I kind of hit a wall because like I didn't plan like I had a rough idea of what I wanted to do with the second half of the book, but I never actually went like into my computer and like outlined what that second half would look like. So once I reached that point, I was stuck because I didn't have an outline. I didn't know exactly where like kind of beat by beat what was going to happen. So these past few weeks, I was kind of slowly sitting down and saying, okay, let me actually like sit down and plan this stuff. Last night, I essentially finished plotting out that second half. So I'm really excited to actually like get down and sink my teeth into writing the rest of the book and yeah, really excited and looking forward to that. I think today is probably going to be the first day where I actually get back to it and start writing it again. Um, yeah,
Congrats, man. That takes a lot of willpower.
hey man,
Oh, the milestone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's hell, man. It's a lot of work. But yeah,
No, I hear
definitely.
you, man. I have like a whole like outline. Like I used to wrote like a ton when I was in college and like the when I was working at Old Navy and kind of just going for my graduate, and I just have all these ideas written down, and I actually have an outline for like a really cool story that I've been wanting to tell for like since 2018, 2019. I just haven't had a chance to like sit down and actually write it.
Yeah, this is the perfect time, man. That was sort of the push that I needed. Like I've been like like quote unquote seriously writing since 2016. But it wasn't until the
Wow.
pandemic where I actually got the chance to be like, okay, now that I'm working from home, I can actually like get on a laptop and write this stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's
true.
no better time than now. That's sort of kind of like been the blessing of the pandemic is sort of discovering new hobbies and committing to those because there's like nothing else to really do. Um,
Yeah,
but
but my mindset was just to kind of make the next transition to my life, which is finally like happening.
yeah,
So once I get settled into that, and like I could finally find like a time in the day or the weekend to actually sit down, and not worry about the other parts of life that needed to attending to. So yeah, without that worry now, it's I feel super relieved, and I can't actually wait to jump back in,
yeah,
especially with short stories. I'm in love with short stories, so I'd
definitely,
love to
man.
dive into that too.
Hell yeah, I love. Yeah, definitely. You got to do that, man. Um, yeah, and then yeah, so that's pretty much it for me, and hopefully by next week I'll have Returnal finished and give my thoughts on that, and that's pretty much it for me. So that's gonna do it for the podcast. Once again, we appreciate everybody that stopped by. Anybody who is watching afterwards, we see you guys too, and appreciate it. Go out and share the podcast and give us a like. And yeah, that's pretty much it for us. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.